Hey you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Moments with Mo. And in today's episode, we are going to be giving a little bit of an update from my last podcast, which was Addicted to the Grind Part 1. And this is going to be Addicted to the Grind Part 2, where I'm giving you guys a little bit of an update about why I was gone and what's been going on, as well as how to accept and experience rejection the right way. So if you guys are interested, then definitely stay tuned for more. Alright, you guys, and we're back. So, it has been a crazy week last week. So, like I said in my previous podcast episode, I was basically explaining to you guys that I wanted to pursue a couple of things. I wanted to pursue a research opportunity, I wanted to get an internship, and just find ways to make money and build my resume while doing so. And so, I have been putting in the work. Now, before, I was nervous because I'm just like, the semester's about to start and I have not solidified an internship or anything like that. The biggest thing that I wanted to do was just be doing something, and hopefully I'll be making money in the process. But I hadn't really received any type of confirmation that I was supposed to be doing something. So I was praying and praying and praying. I'm like, God, let's make this work. You know what I'm saying? Let's make this work. And then some things started happening. So I'm not going to talk about everything just because not everything is finalized, but I can talk about the things that I didn't get and the things that I have secured. So let's start off with the things that I didn't get. So I was actually applying for this opportunity to help with students and their papers in certain courses. It might be a writing critical class, and so they need additional help with forming their arguments and making sure they're answering the question. So I applied and I didn't get it. I was told that they were mostly looking for PhD students and advised to go with them. And so it wasn't that I wasn't qualified, they just wanted someone who was a PhD student, which was fair enough. But in the process of doing that, the person who I was speaking to heard that I was looking for research opportunities. And although it wasn't research, he definitely said he had a project for me. And so I actually was helping him transcribe audio so that he can get his book published. So this was a professor within the university in the political science department. And so thank you to him. I was able to help him and in the process build my resume while making a little bit of money. So that is something that was super fun because the turnaround time was like super quick. I was doing it like day by day. I was just typing all day. Of course, I did get sick yesterday, which was unfortunate. So I wasn't feeling the best, but I was able to complete the assignment and make money. So that was amazing. So of course, we turned that setback into a comeback. So I love that. The other thing that I was working on last week, I was able to submit 2 internships, and I'm still waiting to hear back, so we'll see what happens. It is what it is. But for the final thing, I was looking for a research opportunity, and I got in contact with a professor within the department saying that she was looking for students to help with her research. And so I spoke to her. I heard a little bit about her topic, which was, I believe, depolarization and stuff like that. And so I was able to join her team. So now I am a research assistant in her team, which is amazing. And so I'm so grateful. And that is one of the biggest things that I wanted to speak about, was just like making sure that you're able to accept the things that you asked for. Now, last week was a little bit more stressful just because I had a lot on my plate and things were happening back to back. But it's just like, you asked for this, homie. Like, you asked for it. So don't start freaking out now. Put on your big girl panties, step up, and do the work. And that's exactly what happened. I did the work to be able to receive these opportunities. I did the work to be able to secure these opportunities. And now I am finally able to carry out with the things that I've been planning for basically the whole summer. And so I'm super excited about how the next chapter is going to go with regards to next semester. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated about that. But now we are going to be transitioning into the topic for today, which is experiencing rejection, specifically in adulthood. So, first of all, I want to give this disclaimer. Don't take what I'm saying to heart. I'm speaking about these things humbly, and I have had to be humbled in this process several times, and I'm just speaking about my experience, and hopefully I can help motivate and encourage someone in the process. But I will say that in high school, I was the biggest overachiever ever. And naturally, I was like that all growing up, like elementary to high school as well. And so most of the times, if I expressed interest in something, I automatically did the work and I would just get the opportunity. I very rarely was told no, just because like I was always like surrounding myself with the best of the best. So naturally, I wanted to be the best of the best too. And so I will always be able to receive different opportunities. But then I will say the first time that I experienced rejection somewhat in adulthood was my senior year of high school. And it was my spring semester, so spring 2019. And I applied to college late, I'm not gonna lie. I applied to one school because that was the only school I wanted to go to. And I applied in February and I got accepted in February. And that's basically me seeing myself now. If someone else who was a senior last year were to tell me that, I definitely would have encouraged them to apply earlier, but of course circumstances happen. But that is the worst time to apply, simply because most of the scholarship opportunities are about to close anyway. And so you want to have your scholarship essay in the bucket as early as possible, because then you have a better chance of getting it. But at the time, I believe I only applied to like 3 or 4 scholarships, and I got rejected for all of them. And I was like, wow, that was the first time I had ever been rejected. I was like, that's crazy. And just in my head, I know this is gonna sound really unrealistic, but the counselors in high school, they're like, well, just apply, and you'll get one. And it's like, okay. But I feel like in my head, I knew that I wasn't gonna get all of them, but I'm just like, okay, if I apply, I'm gonna get something. I didn't get anything, and I was like, that's crazy. And especially since like I knew I was smart enough to receive a scholarship from Georgia State, they just simply did not give me one. And for a lot of people, they ended up not getting a scholarship. So that was the first bit of rejection. And then I won't say that this next part is rejection, but it's just like feeling like you're questioning yourself. And that took place at the new student orientation, which was summer 2019, going into my first year of college. So this was right after I graduated. And I was looking around, I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody has hope, everybody has Pell, everybody looks so smart, da-da-da-da. And it's just like, dang, I'm not special anymore. Like, I'm not the top whatever. And that was very intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. And I rarely really got fully intimidated. Like, I was aware of my surroundings, I knew I needed to step up to the plate, but getting intimidated, if you start to cultivate those feelings, that's the energy that you foster. And so you'll always feel like that. But if you feel that feeling, you recognize it, and then you shut it down, the likelihood of it manifesting is very slim to none. And so I kind of tried to shut down that feeling. I was just like, okay, you process through it. You're good enough. Like, you're okay, you're good. But that was always something that I thought about in the back of my head. And so, yeah, that was the feeling of like mediocrity, if I'm being honest. And then my freshman year of college, I was starting to not be myself, but not in a bad way, but just like I wasn't tapping into my fullest potential. So I told myself, you're going to be a basic student. You're going to do the bare minimum. You're going to take the regular class load. You're not going to be in the honors college. You're not going to join 30 clubs. You might join 1 or 2 and just leave it at that. And that is what I did. I really only joined 1 club. I had a job, then I quit, then I reapplied and got it again. And then I was taking the regular course load. I wasn't in the honors college or anything like that. But then I started to notice some things in my second semester of my freshman year, which was that there was this opportunity for me to be able to be a dual degree student, which is pursuing my bachelor's and master's at the same time, which I ended up applying for and ultimately getting, which I'm super grateful for. But the other thing that I was working with was joining the SGA for my next year, which was, I ended up getting that as well. And I was a committee head for 2 committees. And then the other opportunity was the honors college. So those were the 3 things that I was working on during the pandemic and the things that I said I wanted to accomplish. And with the honors college, I knew that I put in the work, and there were real motivations for me wanting to do it, simply because like they had the best professors, they had access to opportunities quicker, they were able to sign up for their classes earlier than everybody else, and they had a completely separate scholarship portal. So all of those things were enough for me to want to apply. I did my part. I had the credentials, I had the resume, I had my GPA right. So I'm just like, all I need are these recommendations, and I believe I needed 2. So I got one was received, but the other one wasn't, and she was just awful with communication, especially during the pandemic. And because she didn't submit my recommendation on time, I was ultimately denied. But I was just gonna accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was really just gonna accept it. But my mom was like, no, like, don't let them punk you. Don't let them take away this opportunity. Them not submitting a recommendation, especially during this critical time, does not have anything to do with your abilities as a student and your success. It has nothing to do with that. So you should not be judged because of someone else's misstep. And so I reached out to them, we got it situated, and I ended up being admitted into the honors college. But I will say that when you are experiencing quote unquote rejection or just preparing for it, make sure that you have good people surrounded by you to be able to motivate you and give you advice on how to approach certain situations. Because if I hadn't had my mom, I probably would not have been in the honors college, and I would have just been chilling, honestly. Like, I would not have even tried to fight for it, you know what I'm saying? So that, I really appreciate my mom for being able to help me in that aspect. But then the next bit of rejection that I experienced was my 3rd year. So my junior year and my senior year kind of meshed together because I ended up graduating early. So my sophomore year, we were in the pandemic. My 3rd year, I came back, but that was my final year of my undergrad. And so some of the biggest things that I was doing was trying to secure an internship. Now, I knew I wanted to have a specific number of internships secured by the time that I would be submitting my application for law school. And I was not at that number. So of course, during training for my job, I was looking for internships like during the lunch break. And I was applying, and it was just like, no. And I was able to look on this website through our school, which I really didn't think was that effective, to be honest. But I ended up applying for an opportunity. They reached back out to me, and it was legitimate. I was able to speak with them, get an interview, and I got the job. And that was a great internship. I loved that internship. I met great friends. I had a great supervisor, and the money was amazing. And so I will say to be persistent. Be persistent. Like, of course, if you're hearing a whole bunch of no's, eventually you become numb to it. But if you hear 13 no's and then you finally just keep going and get that one yes, that's really all that matters. And actually, I want to backtrack a little bit. There was another thing that I went through my sophomore year, which is my 2nd year of college. And that was the season, mind you, I was applying for the club, SGA, I was applying for the honors college, and I was applying to be a dual degree student. But in between that, I was also applying for scholarships. So I was like, let's try this scholarship thing again. And I believe I applied for like 20 scholarships. And I applied for them in December when they first opened. But then they start to give you feedback in like February, March, and then they give you an answer around April, May. So the answers were starting to roll in. It was like, no. I'm like, dang, like last time I only applied for like 3 or 4, but this time I applied to like 20. It's like, okay, all right, y'all kind of humbling your girl, like, okay. But then like towards the end, I was getting towards the last 3 or 4 scholarships, and then I finally received a yes, and that was so fulfilling, so amazing, and I'm so appreciative for that scholarship. And I over time, I recognized that you can only receive one GSU Foundation scholarship. So all of the other ones, it's like you were only going to get one anyway, so you would have gotten rejected regardless. And so that changed my perspective as to how I was able to gracefully accept rejection and still be able to move on. And so I ended up applying for scholarships again. So the time where I was getting the answers was when I applied for them my freshman year. I was hearing answers my sophomore year. And then I was applying for my sophomore year to hear answers my junior year or my 3rd year. So I applied again, and then I was able to receive a scholarship again, but it was the same cycle of no. But at that point, I was able to receive the no's a little bit better. So it was like, you don't have that like, woe is me moment. Like, of course, when you receive a lot of rejection, you just like, oh, I'm not good enough. you don't like me? I've never experienced this before. You don't like me? And it's like, girl, it's not about you. Like sometimes, and these were the other things that I wanted to tackle in this conversation, but like sometimes there are people who are simply better than you. Sometimes you're just not what they're looking for. And then sometimes, like I said, you're not qualified. Like you're not going to be able to receive this properly. And so you need to build up yourself a little bit more so you can be able to actually be prepared for this opportunity when it does come into play. And so that is exactly what I was dealing with. And so I've experienced those two, which was someone's better than you and you're not qualified enough. And yeah, like that's just what it is. So what was the next opportunity? The next opportunity was kind of like graduation, and I spoke about that a little bit in the last podcast, which was when my advisor was like, well, you dropped this one class. I don't see you taking 7 courses and being able to successfully graduate in the spring. That was kind of like a slap in the face, but at that point, my mind was like in the right place, so I was able to just like, no, redirect, be like, thank you for your feedback, but respectfully, no, I'm going to do this. And that's when you kind of got to take charge a little bit. If you want what you want, you put in the work, I promise you will see the results that you want. But you have to put in the work. And so that was that. But then we're moving to now. So I was applying for internships, especially during the summer. But I will say when your heart's not in it, you're not going to get the opportunity. That's exactly what I was experiencing. I really didn't want to work this summer. I didn't want an internship. I didn't want to do anything. And I ended up getting a job anyway that I ultimately had to quit. I was rejected for an internship opportunity, but my heart was in the right place. So I'm just like, me not feeling it was reflected within my performance. And so I know that I have the power to get anything that I want. And so that told me that if I really put my mind to it, I would have been able to pursue that opportunity successfully. And so that's how I knew I needed to take a break. But now fast forwarding to my current situation, like I said, I was pursuing all those things at the same time, and I was getting very good feedback, I was getting the opportunities that I wanted. And so that is my journey this far with, making sure that I've been able to accept rejection in terms of my academic career. But let's talk about life. So sometimes you might feel rejected in life. Because you keep getting rejected in so many other areas, you just be like, so am I just not good enough for anything? You start to question yourself, your confidence goes down, you begin to compare yourself and feel insecure. And I will say that the biggest thing is just changing your mindset. You have to be able to say, you know what, I might be experiencing rejection for this season, and there was a season where I was experiencing rejection, and it's normal, it's human, and it's natural. There was a season where I was speaking with my mom, and she was also experiencing rejection, but she was putting in the work, and she was getting the resources needed to be prepared for the opportunity when she eventually would get the yes that she was looking for. And it turned out to be everything she wanted and more, but I was hoping that she was embracing the journey of rejection, which is what I told her. And of course, it made it so much more beneficial and meaningful when she was able to receive that yes, and it was exactly what she wanted with the opportunity, and everything just worked out perfectly. And then the timing of it too was just amazing. But yeah, so I will say that when you are in a season of rejection, make sure to keep your head on straight. Make sure that you are continuing on with your healthy habits, and eventually you will get out of that slump. And sometimes just the field in itself is not accepting anybody for real. So it's just don't take it personally. Sometimes you're going to be told no. You're just gonna have to be able to cope with it. And then we're going to talk about the last area of rejection, which is in relationships. So personally, I will say anybody who I wanted, I pretty much got. But that's not to say that I was just out here wanting everybody out here trying to do all that. That's just not the case. But I will say that there was a season where I felt like I knew that I'm not the baddest chick on earth, but I knew I wasn't super ugly either. I just consider myself a very average person. But I feel like the mindset of the people who I was associated with, if I didn't look like them, then I wasn't good enough. But I'm just like, no, these are just like immature people. And I realized that, mind you, this is in middle school, so that's kind of, whatever. But like when I got to high school, I'm like, oh, you really do like get approached and all of that. And being able to like navigate that, because for so long you might have been experiencing some sort of rejection from guys or friends or whoever. And so now that you're experiencing people who like actually want to pursue you, it's a little bit foreign, and you have to be able to, like I said, learn how to accept it respectfully, of course. But now at this stage, sometimes rejection can be for the best, in terms of like, not like direct rejection, but things not working out. I take that as a form of rejection. So when things don't work out with relationships, be it with a partner, be it with friends, I genuinely think it's for a greater purpose. There was a lesson that was associated with that person, and it's just like, if the opportunity ultimately fell through, that means that it was never meant for you in the first place, and stop trying to make it happen. Let the rejection take place. It's supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Because it's going to save you from something that you weren't necessarily supposed to experience in the first place. And so I will say, I guess I can tell a little snippet of a story, a little snippet. So I will say, make sure that you are being cognizant of the signs when you're being rejected, but also when you're being played with emotionally. I remember there was this time where someone was confused about their feelings for me, and so they would be flip-flop. And I wasn't trying to pursue anything in the first place, but I'm a friendly person, I'm a nice person. If I care about you, it could be misconstrued with having feelings, which is like, no, it's like, this is platonic, whatever. But because they were battling with themselves, one minute they would be hot, the next minute they would be cold, and they're just, it's like, but you just said this, but now you're telling me this, and you don't want me, da-da-da-da. But it's like, I never asked for you in the first place. So it's just like, that rejection could have hurt my feelings, but it's just like, deep down inside, I knew that they were battling with something. And so I can't let their issues become the rejection that tears me down or breaks me apart. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm being very vague because I don't want to get too much into the specifics, but that's not like, that's going to be something that you experience a lot in life. There are going to be people who are unsure about you, and a clear yes, if it's not a clear yes, it's a no. If people are unsure about you, that means that they don't want you around, or they're just not willing to put in the work to have you. And that's within anything. So that's kind of like how I was able to process through that. I could visibly see, and not a lot of people like pay attention to some stuff, and it wasn't super like, it was kind of obvious, but if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't see that within certain people. But it's just like, I can see that you were conflicted, I can see that you were lost, and I can see that you are fighting with yourself. It is okay for you to quote unquote have feelings for somebody, or for you to want to pursue somebody, whether this is platonically, whether this is romantically, whether this is an opportunity like a job or anything like that. It's okay for you to pursue things, but don't try to sabotage things, or don't try to make people feel some type of way, or make yourself appear to be something that you're not, just to avoid rejection that was inevitable in the first place. But don't try to tear somebody else down because you know that you're about to be rejected. Be able to accept it and move on. And it's going to be for a greater purpose in the long run. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, don't let someone else's insecurities and issues tear you down, because it may come in a form of rejection to you because they don't know how to process their feelings. So that is that. But honestly, if I were to give a moment with Mo for this episode, I would probably say rejection is gonna happen, but don't tear yourself down, or don't throw a fit, or don't slide your back down the wall every time you experience rejection, because it's just gonna hurt you more and more every time. It's gonna happen, And here's one thing, I guess this can be the real moment. My mom was like, you can't always be the best of the best, but somebody has to be. And that is true, but you have to be realistic. So you have to be realistic with the rejection. If you genuinely are the best of the best, then you need to fight. And if you're rejected and you're not supposed to be like with the honors college situation, you need to fight for your spot. Fight for your spot. If you want something, you know you've put in the work, you know that you're actively pursuing this person and they're just tearing you, like they're just turning you down. I mean, no means no, but at the same time, if it's really an investment, it's really something that's meant for you, continue to put in the work. But if it's something that's genuinely not meant for you, something that you're clearly not qualified for, or you're not ready to receive, then be able to gracefully accept that rejection, because it is okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to experience that. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys within this episode. I honestly did not want to record this specific episode at this time. I kind of felt the need to give an update first, but I just like meshed it all into one. So hopefully it wasn't a little bit like odd or out of place. But thank you guys so much for supporting me. Like, comment, and subscribe as always, and continue the conversation in the comments. But I will see you guys in the next Moments with Mo. Bye.